What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the No Rain, No Rainbows podcast. So glad you're joining us today. Whether you're in the car, at home, doing some cleaning, I just appreciate the time. Appreciate the moments that you're spending listening to this podcast. I know how valuable your time is, so just know that I'm not taking that for granted. If this is the first time you're listening to this podcast, I'll sum it up like this. Life is hard, but it's worth the squeeze. No Rain, No Rainbows is all about getting through your storms and your hard times to get to the goals that you have in life, to get to the finer things. We call those rainbows. We always know that there's some storms and some rain along the way, and in this podcast, we try and share some of those stories, also share some tips and some advice in how to live life. And we're in no way, shape, or form an expert on the topic. We're just out here trying to figure out, like you guys. Usually behind the camera, but in front of the camera, sitting by this pool with me today, Andrej Suttles.
What's going on,
Suttles
brother?
Solution. What's up, man?
Hey, man, you sound great.
Thank you, man.
You sound good in these headphones. Yeah, you sound good, man.
I had to project my voice.
See that?
I'm glad you can come out from behind the camera and grace us with your presence and some of your knowledge for the next about 15, 20 minutes or so.
Don't put me on that pedestal, man.
No, I respect you, man. I know you've been doing a lot of work with this crash course, kind of like a boot camp of business and entrepreneurship. So I do want to talk about that in a little bit, but just letting the listeners know exactly what we're going to be touching on today is vacations and unplugging.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that watches the YouTube channel, if you're watching right now, you can see there's a pool behind us. We're sitting poolside. That's on purpose to kind of match the topic of what we're going to talk about today, and it's something I've been very bad at. I don't know about you, Andre. I know you're very ambitious. You work a lot. I think you're better at this than I am. Jess has had to correct me a little bit, but I am terrible at taking vacations. How many people listening right now know somebody that is
A workaholic?
Yeah,
Low-key,
workaholic. And
man, I remember when I met you. Like you were one specific thing we were talking about, and you were like, "Yeah, man, I just don't believe in vacations. Like when we make it there, we'll make it there."
Yeah.
And you were like, "And my girl, my future girl, she's gonna have to understand that. Like that's not what I do. I don't do vacations like that." And then like I take a step back, and we sitting here now, and I'm like, "We're doing a podcast on vacations.
Yeah.
You're about to leave. You know what I'm saying? To go somewhere you've never been before out of the country. We're sitting here setting up, and Ted's like, "Have you ever been out of the country, man? Like, this about to be cool.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
about to have
excited
fun."
for it. So
You know what I'm saying?
with you being the person who's traveled and all that, what's the most memorable vacation you've ever had? And tell me about it.
That's a good one. I would say it's a series. It's about 3 to 4 years. My family, our core family, we would leave the day after Christmas, and we would go on a cruise, and we'd go somewhere new every year, and we'd bring in New Year's together.
Wow.
Not have service, not have to do anything like that. We'd bring in New Year's with all of us on the boat, and those were definitely my most memorable vacations. Just because the places we went, they weren't places where we were going and eating at 5-star restaurants. I remember we went to Jamaica, and our excursion got canceled. And we walked around Jamaica and met this one guy who, talked up with him, and he ended up showing us real Jamaica, showing us Jamaica. And he's like, "Look, well, this is the tour you would have been taking, so and so here," and things like that, to where they're the intangibles, like the visuals and the experience. That's what I go for.
Yeah.
Versus, I don't want to say when I go on vacation, like people go to Vegas and spend a lot of money. There's nothing wrong with that. I would just rather do experiences and see things. So that's what kind of made those so memorable for me.
What kind of benefits do you think somebody can get, workaholic or not,
Oh, man.
from taking a vacation? What kind of benefits do you think someone would enjoy coming back from the vacation, being on it? Kind of sell to me the idea of taking a vacation.
Bro, I think it is unreal, the effects of vacationing. So if you take a step back and think about it, do you remember the day you booked that vacation? Tell everybody about the vacation we're going on, you're going on. And
So we're going to Aruba. We're going to be there 5 days, 4 nights, and it started out as a birthday surprise for my girlfriend. I got some points on the card. I said, "Hey, babe, let's go on a trip." I'm thinking she's going to say, "Let's go to California. Let's go to Nashville, Tennessee. I could get a little plane ticket somewhere." She looks at me and says, "Let's do Aruba." And I was like, "Oh, my gosh." And I looked at it, and it was doable.
Yeah.
So we booked it. She was jumping up and down, and I was laughing like, "Hey, here we go. We're going to Aruba." And then I was like, "Wait, let me make sure my passport's not expired, because I have one, just haven't used it."
So I know you remember the day you booked that.
Yeah.
And I remember us having that conversation, and this was around the time you were, I don't want to say you're not heavy now, but you were a little bit stronger in e-commerce.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you sitting down specifically and telling me, man, I got to pick it up this month.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the psychological effect of you having that event, of you knowing you're not going to be able to work in the future, that propels you to work forward and gives you that ambition, that drive for you to give you essentially increase sales, increase whatever you want. You're just going to put a little bit more passion into it before you go on vacation. Now, when you do go on vacation and you come back, you and I both know that as soon as we get back, it's like, time to get this money.
What did I miss?
Yeah, let's. What did I miss? Let me make up for this. Let's get back. Let's bounce back.
I'll be honest though. That's what scares me about vacation, and I think it's kind of that, not necessarily a competitive mindset, but that hustle mindset, and that thought process is in, if I'm not growing, if I'm not working towards something, and if I'm stagnant, right? I'm, stagnation equals death. Like I'm not advancing. I'm not doing anything. So I guess what I shuddered away from when it comes to thinking about vacation and unplugging is when I'm gone for those 5 days, when I'm gone and I'm enjoying myself. Yes, I'm enjoying myself, and maybe it's a problem I have. I also think to myself, like, I'm slacking.
Yeah, you feel a little guilty?
I might be hard on myself.
Do you remember
regard.
when Tyler Harris was talking, I believe it was in the Modern Man episode, he was talking about the cognitive ability of each human, and it carries over from some days to days sometimes.
Yeah.
And let's say if you're struggling with something, or you have a problem and you just store it, that takes away that 3% for tomorrow. So now you only have 97%.
Yeah.
It takes time for you to get rid of that. It takes time for you to recuperate, for you to reset. You can't just keep going day in and day out, right? So I definitely understand where you're coming from about feeling guilty about it. And one thing I tend to do that kind of tries, that I like to think helps me out, is I like to travel and do business on vacation. So I know that I like to go to California. So I'll make sure I have a photo shoot or something set up. The power of the internet is unreal. So I'll have something set up prior to where it may only be $100 photo shoot or $150 photo shoot, but it covers those 2 plane tickets, right?
And here's the cheat code too. You write that off on your tax.
Yeah, you write that off, right?
That was a business trip.
It's crazy, right? So, I go all that to say that you owe yourself that. There's things that you aren't thinking about now that are still affecting you on a day in and day out basis, subconsciously and psychologically with your mind. Like, you have a lot that you're dealing with. So you owe yourself that reset.
Yeah.
So don't think that you don't. And there's also a lot into it to where just because you're not physically working on the business doesn't mean you're not aiding it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to health. How can you provide for your family if you're not 100% healthy?
Take care of yourself type thing.
You have to, right? So making sure you take that mental break, making sure you take that break from your body physically. But then also, it's, you talk about work-life relationship, work-home relationship. You have a significant other.
Yeah.
You owe that to her too, to take the, to detach from work, so to say. And that's one thing I learned from my past relationship was there's a time and there isn't a time for there to be work. There has to be a time where you can detach, and know that you owe that to her too. Because she's in the trenches with you right now too.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So you owe it to her to go ahead and take those days for you guys, knowing that you two together are gonna come back even stronger.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Part. The connection that we're gonna have during the trip. I mean, it's just me and her rolling. So
yeah. I'm excited for y'all to go
on.
on vacation, because literally, like, you used to be so against vacations. Like, you were like, bro, I'll celebrate by going out. We'll just have, we'll go have a drink, or maybe we'll go, somewhere club. We'll go to Chattanooga or something like that. And it's like, I remember you were like, yeah, bro, so I booked a trip to Aruba.
Yeah. Well, that's
Can
the
you
thing.
watch Bruno?
I was under the camp of not taking vacations, and part of it was the ambition. Another part of it was financial. I'll just be transparent on that. Was
Same.
I was able to afford a vacation, but for me, for the things I wanted to purchase, the things I wanted to invest in myself, were priority over
They didn't line up.
leaving.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to say I can go 3-5 years without taking a vacation. I'm good. And coming into the second half of this podcast now, trying to kind of provide some value for the people that are listening now, in terms of being able to do this vacation. a lot of people listening, they're in a lot of different situations.
Yeah.
There are some business owners that listen who are very well off financially.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people who are listening who are working on a side hustle and really trying to get their business off the ground, and money is a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
So how does somebody go about balling on a budget? How does somebody go about going on vacation? And I could say for me, what you mentioned about heavy into e-commerce, I was lucky enough to have points accumulate from my business that allowed me to take advantage of my points. And that just simply equals free stuff.
Yeah.
And the cost of me going to Aruba is about the cost of me going to Nashville for the weekend. So that's how I've been able to do that. What are some tips you'd give somebody listening right now on how they can ball on a budget?
That's a good question. I don't have it all figured out, for one.
Sure.
But I will say that if you do have a credit card, make sure you are getting some sort of rewards that don't come at the cost of the card. But another thing is booking it in advance. I know for a fact that my family, we're not extremely well off by any means. But what we did do is we book our vacation in January. And we'd pay some in January, February, March, April, May, June.
Nice.
All the way up until August, and it's paid off. And it's like, you paid $100. You paid $100 a month. And you have $1,100 towards the vacation, and you're sitting there like, well, dang, I didn't do nothing but not go out one weekend.
Yeah.
And now you're headed to go see St. Thomas, Dominican Republic, Turks and Caicos, and Puerto Rico.
Manageable.
Right? And it's something to where you have to also understand that when you finally book that, there will be that little extra bit of pressure, like you said, that little extra bit of, well, dang, like, what am I going to be missing out on? But don't think of it, I don't want to say that's a negative aspect of it, but think of it in another way. Like, okay, think of how much more I can gain until I get there. Imagine if I never would have booked this, I wouldn't have known that I'm going to miss that out and not have the motivation to do even better. Right? So think of it in a good, like, you have to spend that time and the money, so to say.
Yeah.
And go ahead and book it. I say that, like, you did it was a pretty decent time in advance. You just went ahead and booked it.
I remember when we booked it and looked at the countdown. I think it was like 120 days.
Yeah.
Or something. So yeah, it was about 3 months.
How about you?
What
What kind of tips would you give them?
Points first and foremost.
It's crazy.
If you have a credit card,
rewards, man.
you don't want to hold on to debt. So I talk about paying off your balance monthly. Use those points, get the miles, and it doesn't matter. Do your research on which card you qualify for, which card you're able to use. Make sure the benefits are good. That's a good way you can get flights, you can get hotels.
For all my Furman listeners, Justin Floyd's walking by.
Justin
Shout out to
Floyd.
Justin Floyd, all my Furman listeners.
We see you. Also, I love what you're saying about, kind of spread it out, make it manageable. I think a lot of people, they see the number before they see how to get there. If they see, a vacation is going to cost me $1,000, all-inclusive, Punta Cana is going to be $1,600. How do I do that? Well, when you break it down, there's ways to do it.
Absolutely.
I think the biggest thing I've discovered in the past few years is the ability to make money. I think a lot of us are so focused and trapped with our paycheck being the only source of income that they don't realize the amount of money that they're surrounded by. So honestly, when I booked the trip, I sold some stuff on Facebook Marketplace. I literally, I
remember you had a snowboard.
Yeah, I had a snowboard, a snowboard jacket.
I remember, man.
And I was like, who needs this
Yeah,
stuff?
no.
I don't know. But
the old camera bag, all that.
I posted it and somebody bought it. I posted the snowboard jacket. Somebody drove 2 hours to pay me $150 for a snowboard jacket.
Yeah.
And I thought, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And if you're listening, shout out to you.
We appreciate you.
But the point there is his jacket ripped.
Yeah.
His snowboarding jacket ripped. He just booked a trip to Vermont, and he was in a bind, and he needed it.
Yeah.
So the point being that I'm trying to get across to the listeners is you never know. Yeah. You have something in your house that's worth money. They say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Well, Facebook Marketplace makes that statement more true than ever.
Ever, man.
So
oh, my goodness.
I was able to, honestly, the cost of the plane ticket was paid for in Marketplace, just selling some stuff. So sell some stuff around your apartment.
That's how we've Well, that's how me and Charles met back in the day. Was I was doing the cell phones with the photography. Yeah, there's a lot of money in buying and selling goods, like
Flipping.
whether like flipping stuff, like iPhones it's incredible, like the market. Furniture is incredible. Like I'll buy a piece of furniture and recondition it, and it's incredible the markup, right?
Yard sales. Gary Vee. All
Yeah,
about
Gary
the
Vee, man,
yard
it's
sales.
crazy.
People making $10,000 a month going to yard sales and selling the stuff on eBay.
So these vacations, how often would you say?
Okay. So now we're getting into my new theology of vacationing and stuff. As often as necessary. Ideally for me, and I know how hard against vacationing I was. In a perfect world, if businesses are doing well, once a quarter. Once a quarter.
Wow.
As of right now, I could see it being once a year. And this is where my mindset is different than others, because I'll have a friend that gets married and it's a weekend, and being away from home, every wedding I go to requires a plane trip and a hotel stay, and to me that's kind of a vacation.
Same.
Jess probably wouldn't check that
depends,
as a vacation, but to me that's, I'm gone for a weekend.
Yeah, I mentioned LA earlier, and I'll go back
fun.
and it's a vacation for me. I would say it's as the opportunity presents itself. Like I'll have my sister, she plays softball, and for some reason, their team's very good. They're pretty good, and they like to travel. So they're at the beach at least. I know upcoming they're going to be at the beach like 2 out of the next 4 weeks. And that's something where like it's a vacation, but is it a vacation? Like I don't really have to pay for anything,
Yeah.
And I'm just going down there to watch my sister play, but that's a vacation to me. It's out of my normal routine. It's out of the normal day in and day out, as they say.
So then that leads me to the question, vacation, is it a destination or is it a mindset? Could you staycation? Could you get the same benefits from staycationing? And when I say staycation, I'm not talking about just stay in your apartment or stay in your house. I'm talking about, so we live in the upstate of Greenville, South Carolina. There are hiking trails all over the place. If I pick a weekend and I just, I'm not going to call anybody, I'm not going to do anything, I'm just going to go hiking, maybe go out on the lake, I'm 45 minutes away from my house. But I might as well be in a different state.
I think vacation includes the isolation part. That's what makes it a vacation. Because no matter what I just like instantly thought about was, no matter where we go, however far we go, we're still with ourselves, with us.
Sure.
With who we allowed to come.
It's not ourselves we're trying to escape.
Exactly. It's the world we currently live in, right? Or our current reality, where it's like you want to take a break from it, because me and you can vacation in Greenville.
Yeah.
Or we can vacation in
Chattanooga.
Florida or Chattanooga, right?
We did that.
We went on vacation. Now, both of us would. I mean, I know. Speaking for myself, I would consider that a vacation.
I do too.
Like that was something I never do. Activities I never do, and that's something to where I was isolated, but isolated with those who you choose to be around, and those who. I really feel like it's more of the isolation of the reality you're in versus the people.
Oh yeah.
So more about the whole, I guess, actuality of all of it. Just escaping the normal, which will kind of give you the vacation scheme. Whereas like when you're on vacation, you feel like you have no worries.
Yeah.
So
I kind of want to try and do a little something we've never done before on the podcast right now. And for anybody that's listening, made it towards the end of this episode, we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
We want to hear where you like to vacation. We want to hear some of your favorite spots. And you know what? Accountability. We'll put it on the list. I'll put it on the list, and I'll pick a spot that we find intriguing, and I'll try and book that in the next year or so.
No, we're gonna book that.
Yeah, we're
we'll
gonna book that in the next year or so. If you put Costa Rica, Jess is gonna go nuts.
Right?
She'll
no,
go
really
nuts.
though, we want to hear from you guys. It's important. We do this to give back, but it's also we like to hear from you guys. This what is valuable? Where have you guys been that has provided value for you guys? I know for a fact for me, whenever I hop on a plane and the plane trip is over 4 hours, I just feel like an ant. Like
Yeah.
I just feel so small, you know, like I'm
Mhm.
traveling far and I just feel so small, and that's what gives me that vacation kind of the kind of the good effect that
Do
I
you
get
have
from
an
it.
airplane playlist?
Um,
I want to see if
I
I can
can't say
pull up
that I
this
do.
album.
I can't say that I do.
Do you know Odessa?
I don't.
They have an album. It's probably in my iTunes.
Odessa.
Odessa, yeah.
Okay.
And In Return, yeah.
Oh, it's the whole album you play.
The whole album.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, there's barely any words.
Yeah.
It's 49 minutes long, and it's probably one of my favorite airport albums to listen to.
Wow.
I say airport because I don't necessarily listen to music on the plane.
Okay.
But at the gate,
Yeah.
walking through TSA, like that's just like my vibe.
I'll be honest. I go to my little Apple Music and I hit search, and I type in NIPSEY, and I'll just go to the songs and I'll just put all the Nipsey songs on
Nipsey,
shuffle.
go.
And I don't. It's just something about giving me the, like, it just motivates you to be the business owner that
Yeah.
you've seen back in the day, you know, with the suits and understanding the game of equity and stuff like that. So when I travel, I always feel like I'm a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Like business wise, I feel like my business is bigger. But then you travel and it's like, wow, I'm still just a little person.
What do you wear when you travel? This is another good thing to hit on because I know some people they wear suits. Other people I wear sweats. I'm trying to get in, get through, get out.
Yeah, it depends. Am I going or coming? And it depends where I'm going to. Depending on that, it'll either be a suit or it'll be typically, I'm not gonna lie, my Lululemon joggers, and I wear my own personal shirt.
Nice.
Just with my logo on it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people in the airport, they love to strike just like simple conversations, just like, what are you headed here for? And if I have my shirt on, it's like, oh, well, I've got a media business, or it's got Subtle Solution on the back. You may get, a couple people reach out. So. Yeah, but I would say like if I'm coming back home, always the Lululemon joggers and a shirt.
I love it.
Going, might phase in a suit depending on. There's sometimes you have like a meeting right afterwards or something like that. Of course,
always
might do it,
depends.
but
Well, guys, I do want to hear from you. Let us know where your favorite spot to vacation is. Comment in the show notes. You'll be seeing some opportunities in which you can comment, connect with Andre and myself. Let us know what your vacation experiences have been like. And if you guys have the time, if you enjoy this podcast, we know the past few weeks we've put out some fire content. This one's kind of like a palate cleanser as I'm getting ready to go on vacation. And keep an eye out for next week's episode because Andre's going to be holding it down solo on the podcast.
Guys.
Yeah. So we got a lot of different things coming up. Also, been working on lining up some other interviews for you guys that I think you're going to enjoy. But please, if you have the time, if you enjoy the podcast, give us a rating. Let us know what you think. Comment on the post in the show notes to let us know what really resonates with you. There's no way we can give you the value if we don't know what strikes a chord and what doesn't. So instead of us just talking to a microphone, kind of help give us some direction on how we can give you guys more value and be more purposeful. I know some feedback we've actually gotten. People like the podcast. They want us to go deeper, which I like. I mean, I was afraid we'd go too deep sometimes, but it seems that people want us to go deeper and really kind of like peel back the curtains more. So we're going to work on doing that for you guys. That's Andre, good. What words of knowledge you want to leave to the people before we go?
What do you always say?
I always say, let's grow.
I know it, but what do you say before that?
Oh, well,
everybody wants the pleasure, but they don't want the pain.
But you can't get the sunshine
without a little rain.
Let's grow, baby.
My brother.
Yeah.